Affordable programming brings customers who will question your policies, push payment dates, and treat your staff like customer service reps instead of professionals. Guys, this was said this week on ASGA by someone who is a business coach and consultant in our industry. And in this episode of the Full Out Cheer podcast, I am actually going to tell you the very opposite. I'm going to teach you how to have an affordable program that also profits. Hey guys, and welcome to this episode of the Full Out Cheer podcast. I'm Danielle, and I am your host for today. So first off, if you are new to the Full Out Cheer podcast, I am one of the owners of Twister Sports in Warrensburg, Missouri. We have competitive cheer, before and after school program, rec tumbling, competitive dance, rec ninja, birthday parties, batting cages, events, everything you can do in a small town. I have right now about 600 kids in a town of 20,000 people. I am also one of the owners of Next Generation Gym Owners. So if you're new to Next Gen, or if you're new to the Full Out Cheer podcast, before you do anything else, head over to our Facebook group and join the group Cheer Gym Owners on Facebook if you're an owner. And if you are a coach or an owner who also coaches, make sure you join All-Star Cheer Coaches and Owners. We've got some great events coming up, and I want to make sure that you guys can get the information and be part of one of our upcoming CheerBiz Accelerators. You can also learn about that at cheerbizaccelerator.com, or one of our conferences. We have a summer conference coming up in June 2026 in Nashville. So if you guys are regular listeners, you might be like, man, Danielle, you sound sick. And you're right. I went to a competition this past weekend, and normally Justin comes with me when it's like a 3-hour drive. We went down to Branson. I had told him, I'm like, we're getting ready to go on vacation for Christmas. Like, you have so much going on. You stay, take the weekend to get some stuff done. It was honestly kind of helpful because then we didn't have to have anybody come check on our dogs. Most of the time, that's one of my cheerleaders who were also going to be in Branson. I was like, you just get some stuff done. I can take Addie, like we'll go have a good competition and we'll be back like 2 days later. We were on our way to Branson, about 3 hours away. And like, as we're pulling into like a lot of the thick traffic that you get in Branson around Christmas, and know that if you've been to Branson, like it's not thick like Chicago, New York, LA thick. It's thick like Missouri thick traffic. And as we're pulling in, I'm like, man, my throat doesn't feel that good. I mean, within like probably 20 or 30 minutes, like I was like, oh, I have the chills. Like, I just don't feel well. We went out to eat. I wasn't like super hungry. By the time we got to our room, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to like take some medicine and go to bed. And I woke up the next morning. We had an arrival time for our dance, like one of our dance teams, and then Tiny Prep. We had an arrival time of 7 a.m. And so we had to leave at 6:30. And then we were there. The final awards ceremony for the day was at 9:30, and we had teams going all day. So super great competition. Love doing it in Branson at Christmas time. But I was not the only one sick. This is not me rabbit trailing. This is me like, hopefully you guys have not had to experience this, but I've talked to a lot of gym owners in the past couple weeks, and I know that I am not the only one that had a December competition with kids running off the floor after the competition. You know, the music ended and you had kids running off the floor to vomit, kids like running out of the video review to like vomit, kids in warm-ups with like blankets around them, like shivering. I recently did a couple episodes about how our sport is so unlike any other. And man, I cannot emphasize enough that we are so very different in so many ways. And one of those ways is that I have never seen kids push through in any of the other sports that I have been a part of or coached. I have never seen kids push through the way that they do in All-Star Cheer. They know so much how important their individual role is. To be honest, it's not my favorite to have to ask a kid with the fever or, you know, who has chills or is vomiting. It's not my favorite thing to have to ask them, hey, can you still compete today? In fact, I feel really insensitive sometimes having to do that. But luckily, we've got a great group of parents who they just get it. They know that, you know, if I could let a sub fill in that day, I would. But it is not very easily the nature of cheer. So if you hear in my voice, or if you hear me clearing my voice, I'm sorry. It just sort of is what it is today. But I had to hop on here and I had to record a podcast for you because there was a lot of chatter yesterday on a particular Facebook group that has, 9,000 or maybe more these days, gym owners and coaches and industry professionals and choreographers and, probably a bunch of cheer moms that have made their way in there, but one of the biggest groups in cheer. And there have been a few posts that are in regard to program affordability and that we are, as gym owners, often trying to create the most affordable possible program at the sacrifice of the things that make our lives harder. And to be totally transparent, these posts were made by an individual who I really looked up to for a period of time and I had as a mentor. And, it's okay to have those differences of opinion over time, but certain philosophies are also the things that divide you over time. I'm not typically one to stand up and kind of put my neck out there for things that I think are controversial. I tend to stay professional, stay in my lane, and just kind of do what I got to do to make sure that I'm doing my part to educate gym owners in the industry. But this was one that really struck a chord. And without outing anybody else, Danielle and someone whose name is very similar had a few conversations about this because it was hard to hear someone that is a part of the industry who doesn't necessarily own a gym make comments about how affordable programs bring you people who are not good for your gym. I can understand that some people have had different experiences with this over time. And I'll say, I've had a number of families in my gym that were not the right fit for us, and we were not the right fit for them. And perhaps they were drawn by the level of affordability in the program, but I also think they were drawn by the fact that, there were 2 gyms in town and they had a choice and 50-50 chance they picked us. Maybe they were drawn by the fact that our teams were good. Maybe they were drawn by the fact that, we had cool uniforms. We were located in a great place. We had a great facility. I refuse to believe that the wrong people will come to you simply because you have an affordable program. So today we're going to talk about that. And there were definitely comments in support, and I didn't necessarily disagree with some of the comments either. So let's talk about, is it bad to be a program that prides itself on affordability? No. All right, well, this podcast is over. No, I'm kidding. But no, I don't think it's bad to pride yourself on affordability. I don't necessarily think that is alone in itself what you should be marketing, because I think as soon as you market that we're the cheapest place in town, I do think there is a value perception that can come with that, right? I actually kind of liked Kmart's and Targets and stuff like that, but Justin had this feeling over time that Kmart's were just, where he grew up, that particular Kmart just wasn't as clean and it wasn't as organized and this and that. And so I think it impacted his perception of Kmart. Well, Kmart also had more affordable items sometimes than some of the other options. And so when they market that they are the cheapest place in town to get something, it can sometimes come with a stigma. If I go to one of the dollar stores in my town, I'm going to be really honest, it's dusty, it's grimy, it has terrible parking, it's not in a great location. It doesn't give me this feeling of I'm going in somewhere for high quality. It gives me the feeling of okay, I bought this coffee mug and I'm just going to check it and make sure that there's not a crack in it before I go pay for it. And so I can understand that perspective. And I think it's important that we're not marketing ourselves on one particular aspect of our program. And so if your idea to get a whole bunch of new kids is to talk about how you're the most affordable place in town, yeah, I don't think that talking about price alone is going to get you always the people that match your culture. But I think if you say, listen, we have affordable birthday parties that are amazing. Our staff will take care of you. We've got a fantastic, clean, safe facility. If you're marketing affordability as part of the program, I think that's totally okay, you guys. And I also think there is so much value in being connected enough to your community that you can understand and empathize with the economic circumstances happening in your community. Now, I'm going to say all that, but I'm also going to say, I think a lot of gym owners think their community is worse off than it actually is. We were doing some work on Cheer Biz Accelerator, some of the pre-work, and Dan and I were meeting this morning, and there was a particular gym owner that said, I just don't live in as high end of an area, or my gym isn't located in as high end of an area as some of my competitors, and that's a downfall for me. And I thought, if they're truly in an area where things aren't kept up very well, and there's a town near us that you're oh, it's across the train tracks. If it's something like that, I do think that could potentially impact if it creates this feeling of it's dingy or unsafe at night or high crime or something. And so Dan and I got on Google Maps, and I took the little man and I put him there, and I did the 360 view. I went a mile in each direction. I'm hold on. This person thinks they're in, they think that is potentially a problem for their gym, when in reality, I'm seeing nice landscaping. I'm seeing nice cars. I'm seeing huge windows on the front of facilities. And I can tell you, in the parts of Chicago that used to, when I lived there alone, that used to scare me, those business owners are not putting huge windows without bars that go across the front. Huge windows are a risk for those people because vandalism means that they may not have a window tomorrow or any of the things inside their store. And so when I saw those things, and this person said that they felt that could potentially be a reason that their competitors get more people, I thought, I think we have an education to do for this particular gym owner. As we talk about affordability, do I think that being affordable is a bad thing? Heck no. In fact, I think that your families can appreciate affordability, and they can appreciate the things that you are doing and the measures you take to make your program more affordable. My goal is to always keep my program affordable while still maintaining proper profit margins. And the reason is because nobody opens a business to be a martyr. Nobody opens a business so that they can, one day have to live in a van down by the river. Nobody does that. They don't open a business so that they can get past due bills all the time that are, stamped past due and coming in, and your staff maybe grabs the mail from the front desk and takes it to your office or whatever. Nobody does that. Everybody has to have profit margins, because the risks that we have taken over the years to build a business, and the time we have taken away from our families, and the financial risks that we have taken warrant those profits. And do I think that cheer gyms in general have these massive profit margins? No. Nope. If, for parent listeners out there, if you're thinking that your gym owner's a brand new Lexus probably was the result of profits at the gym, yeah, probably not. It's probably the result of wise financial decisions that they've made over time. It's necessary for gym owners to, yes, make a profit, but also keep programs affordable for families, or to have a diverse enough program offering that they have something for everyone. Now, I believe that you can become profitable by doing the right things with a business mindset. So you have to care more about making wise business decisions for a variety of reasons rather than just profit. If everything I ever did had the mindset of profit, I would probably buy very, very cheap uniforms that are falling apart, and I would charge way too much for them. I would probably not invest a lot of time into creating those uniforms because my time is worth money. I would hire staff that had no idea what they were doing. I probably wouldn't train them a whole lot because my time is worth that investment. I would probably not hire people to come clean the gym or pay for that. I would just kind of pick up here and there where I can. I would definitely not have more than one front desk person, or gosh, any front desk at all, because just log on to the portal. You can take care of your makeup classes. You can drop on the portal. You can change your card on the portal. If all I cared about was profit, I would never do those things in my gym. But because I care about the people in my gym and my customers, and I care about my staff, we make those choices. So you can do both. You can have an affordable program that is a high quality program, and you can profit. I believe hiring great staff and taking care of them can build you a profitable program while staying affordable. This particular individual kind of made it seem like there's one or the other. You can either have great staff who are well-trained and they are professionals and you are properly taking care of them with pay and benefits, or you can have an affordable program. As someone who's owned a cheer gym for 14 years, I'm telling you, you can do both. I take good care of staff. They are paid well, they have good benefits. We cover everything when they go to competitions, but we also have boundaries. I can't have every individual staff member selecting whatever flight they would like and taking first class and bringing extra bags and staying at, the Hilton. I can't have staff do all of those things and still keep an affordable program. And so we do fully take care of them. But we have boundaries within that. We have guidelines. Like you could say in some ways I was raised by the federal government because my first real adult job was working for the federal government. And that gave me some guidelines on how we should treat employees because guys, there might be a lot of hiccups within the federal government, but, and I'm literally saying this right after a furlough. So bear with me because I understand that. I've been furloughed. For the most part, the government pays for things. They're very clear on here are the things we're going to pay our staff for. Here is the raise and evaluation structure. When you are hired, here is the experience level we are looking for in order to pay you X amount of dollars. But I don't think that we have a lot of those same systems and processes within cheer gyms. And so you have to build those so that your staff know, hey, I will take care of you, but I also can't have you flying out on, Wednesday when it's the most expensive day to buy a plane ticket and the rest of the staff flies out at 5:30 a.m. on Friday because that's an affordable plane ticket. I can't do those things. I have to have some boundaries. Another area that I think gym owners can really get themselves in trouble is that, I was talking to a gym owner yesterday and he had someone who had applied reach out and say, what's the pay structure for this? And he said, well, you have experience, so that would be negotiable. And I actually said to him, I'm like, okay, stop right there though. Yes, this person has experience. They are not necessarily a career coach who is applying for a full-time coaching position. Yes, they have coached at a program for 2 years and they coached, preschool and novice. And I totally value that experience. That said, you have no idea if this person will be a good employee. You actually don't know if they're a good coach. They might have been a coach that left their former gym because they weren't very valuable or they were released. I personally would not give extra money for experience until someone has been in my gym 90 days and I can see, is this person equally as valuable to me as their resume demonstrates? I get it. I might get people on TikTok or Instagram that are like, I have coached for 20 years. I would never go to a gym and do it for minimum wage. And I'm like, I get it. You're probably not the right person for my gym then, because I know that I can train great coaches. And it's okay if you don't do minimum wage. It kind of depends. If I live in Tennessee where minimum wage is $7 an hour, yes, you probably should not start someone at minimum wage. But if you are somewhere like here, where in Missouri, our minimum wage is really pretty high compared to the cost of living, that might be an appropriate start for the first 30, 60, or 90 days until you can see if someone is truly the employee that their resume demonstrated. And so I think making wise choices can help with the affordability of your program. Profit comes from not just having sound business knowledge, but also making the right choices in business and not having an exclusive program that only the wealthy in your area can afford. Hear me on this. You need to have a variety of programs that 90% of families could come in and be part of your gym by being in one of these programs. Maybe that's recreational tumbling. Maybe it's rec cheer that is built in sessions because families can't afford something to come out monthly, but they can do something every couple of months. Maybe that's a childcare program like I have, where a lot of the kids in my before and after school care program do not do. In fact, I don't know that we have any right now that do all-star cheer that also regularly attend before and after school care. But we have that program so they can be a part of Twisters. They can be a part of our gym and they can get the amazing mentorship from our coaches and they can be part of, the fun activities and events that we do in the gym. But guess what? My before and after school program is the same cost as the ones offered by the schools and by the community center in town. And it's because we can operate successfully at that price point. We've made choices. We share overhead expenses with the other programs in the gym, and I can operate at that price point and still have a proper profit margin. I don't believe that affordable programming brings the wrong customers into your gym any more than expensive elite programming. I do think all parents are just trying to give their kids the best they possibly can with what they can afford. And so having programs at a variety of price points, having my recreational tumbling program, and then my novice cheer and half-year novice for that matter, and my prep cheer and my elite cheer, that is a great fit for my community, where we have people that are making minimum wage who have their kids in programs at our gym, and we have people who are doing very, very well and go on a lot of vacations and do a lot of things and have a lot of new electronics and new vehicles who are also part of a program. And guess what? The difference is that doesn't mean that the wealthy are not also potentially, maybe they are part of the recreational programming. In fact, I know several of them who are. And some of those who do not easily, like cheer is their vacation, they have kids in elite. They have made the opportunities and the sacrifices to do that. And I don't want to price my program at a point where it's not affordable. You know, if I have two teachers, a husband and wife are married and they have a couple of kids and their child wants to be in competitive cheer or wants to be able to be on maybe more than one team or be in cheer and take a flyers class and do the tumbling clinics, I want to be able to price my product at a point where they can afford it, but I still can take care of my staff, have a good facility, and profit. And all of those things are possible. Do not let people in the industry tell you they are not. Do not let people in the industry tell you that All-Star cannot be profitable or is not profitable or rec is the only way that you can make money, because I used to believe the things that the people said. And then we changed the way that we ran business and we took away, like I don't have $80 practice sets or $125 practice sets that even my elite kids wear. We offer them, but they are not mandatory. We do a black cotton tank top with a logo and usually something on the back. And that is what you wear over your uniform at competitions. And it's what you wear to practice. And at certain times of the year, I will offer a backpack and a warm-up jacket and stuff like that, but they're not mandatory. I don't mandate shoes. Like, my own 15-year-old is very picky on what she needs on shoes. I don't care what shoes you wear as long as they're white. And if at one point I see a child wearing shoes that I'm like, oh, those are very stiff, they are probably a little heavy for what we're trying to do because now you're in tumbling and it's hard to point your toes, or you're wearing high tops and that's hard to point your toes, I will approach that with those parents. But I also have the empathy as a parent that, like, you maybe just spent a whole bunch of money on those shoes and maybe we have to wait till next season, and I just need to do a better job educating parents in the future of what I want you to have. But I'm not going to mandate it because I want parents to have as much disposable income outside of my program as possible. And then I want to give them the incentive to spend that disposable income in my gym, which is a small business and benefits the entire economy in my area. So I'm just going to say a few things that were said in this particular post, and I've gone over some of them, but one of the things was that affordable doesn't mean high value. It means low tolerance. I do not agree with this. I feel like at my gym, if you guys know me, I feel like I run a pretty tight ship. The military made me who I am, but I also would say I was made for the military, like in the mindset that I do have high expectations. We have a ton of systems in the gym. I expect my staff to follow the systems. I train them and hold them accountable on systems. I have team debrief forms that my competitive coaches are supposed to submit. If they do not submit them, I can't see how the team is doing, and I want that kind of oversight. I do reach out to them and say, hey, I need your form. I didn't receive it yesterday. I think things like that are important, but I do not have a low tolerance for just about anything. Okay. I have high expectations from my staff, but I also have high expectations culturally from our parents. If our parents see something that doesn't look like it's going right, I want to know about it. I don't just tell them I have an open door policy, but, bye, Felicia. Like, I do not have that mentality because I don't believe it builds a good culture. I have a very open policy for customer feedback. I want the feedback, but I'm also really honest with parents. I want your feedback, but I also want constructive feedback. I don't do surveys that are anonymous because I don't think that you will get constructive feedback. I want people who want to be part of something bigger than they are, and than I am, and then any individual is on their own. And I want them to be able to see that same vision, but it requires a leader who has a shared vision and can share that vision with others. It requires a leader that will train people and educate parents and hold staff and parents accountable for their actions. I think when we say that, you have a low tolerance because you need every dollar that's coming in the door, someone who pays $600 a month in my gym and someone who pays $79 a month in the gym, it doesn't change the quality of who that individual is. And in my mind, it does not make one person more worthy of another. It doesn't make one family more valuable than another. Does it hurt a little bit if one were to quit and the other, in comparison? Sure. But I'm a good gym owner and I have a great staff, and revenue alone can be replaced. That doesn't scare me. I am not more afraid to release the wrong family from my gym because they pay $600 versus $79. I think all it requires is a confidence in your ability to replace revenue. And that's just the name of the game. That's just what the challenge of owning a business is. But it doesn't make one person more valuable, and it doesn't make my tolerance higher or lower based off of what someone pays. I think there are a number of reasons. Yeah, that's me turning a page. I think there is a number of reasons that people do tolerate things in their gym regardless of the price point. And I'm actually going to get into that on our next episode, where I talk about 4 really stupid things I bragged about when I was fairly new to gym ownership. So you'll have to join me on the next episode to hear more about that. But I do not think the amount you pay determines if you are a high quality or low quality customer. I think who you are, your investment into your children, your constructive feedback, your culture, the morals and culture and values that you hold as an individual, can make you a very valuable asset in my gym. And when I say asset, I'm not meaning to dehumanize that. I'm meaning I have really amazing people in my gym who pay a lot of money, and very amazing people who can't do the extras. And one does not become more valuable than the other. Strategic decisions are how you become profitable. And so if we're talking about I want an affordable program, but I also want to be able to profit, you have to make strategic decisions. I choose to have diversity in my program. I choose to have a variety of revenue sources in my program. And so one year, if people decide that, All-Star Cheer is not cool anymore and we're not going to do it, my gym will still be around next year. If one year people decide that tumbling is super boring and they don't like being upside down, which I don't think kids will ever decide that because tumbling is so fun. But if they were to ever decide that, that's okay. My gym will be around next year. And I've been through the trials because there's a great little playland. It's a Mystic Mountain playland in our town. There is a, My Little Town for little kids, where it's literally a little town. All of those things, we all run events. I have seen my birthday parties dip a little bit over the years, and then they went back up. I have seen all of those things, but just because a competitor, All-Star, I've had plenty of competitors over the years I think we've had 5 different competitors in our small town of 20,000 people, in addition to an actual cheer gym competitor. They teach cheer at the community center. There are local rec leagues. There's dance studios that teach tumbling. I've been through the ringer when it comes to different types of competitors, and a diverse program, as long as you are ready to manage that, some diversity, I'll just say that, some diversity in your program can allow you to be profitable. It allows a variety of programs to share the overhead expenses. And by doing that and sharing overhead expenses, All-Star Cheer budgeting alone is not responsible for my entire electric bill. Kids Camp, my before and after school program alone, is not responsible for my entire staff cost. So a gym owner once said that to me. She's like, I want to add swim. It's going to share in the overhead expenses. And I thought, what a great way to think about it. These additional programs do share in the overhead expenses. And as long as you're not diverting attention from what you are truly great at, and you can split attention and be great at multiple things, not everybody can do that, and that's okay. But if you can, it allows you to be more profitable, and it protects you a little bit on the risky sides of new places coming into town. One of the areas that I think gym owners lack in profit is because, and so they feel like they, have to have these outrageously unaffordable programs, is that I think they're not willing to do a little more work for the sale. I've done a lot of website and social media reviews for our CheerBiz Accelerator events in the past couple of weeks. One thing that I've seen is that everyone wants to send a new member to the parent portal, and they want a person to register through Jackrabbit or iClass or GoMotion or whatever. And while I think that it is a good solution for brand new gym owners who have no other options, I think it is a poor solution for seasoned gym owners who are trying to get people to easily register online. Because when my daughter went to an open gym a couple years ago down at a major franchise in the Dallas area, and I had to go on the class management software and create an entire account for her to go to like a $10 open gym, I was so annoyed. Like, let me sign a waiver. I'll give you whatever you need for me to sign the waiver, pay my $10, and let me be on my way. I do not need to be part of your class management software. That's my personal opinion. I understand that there may be reasons that you guys have those, but 99% of the time when someone says, yes, we send them to our class management software to get enrolled because I don't want to have to take all their information and put them in there myself. I'm like, yeah, but it takes 60 seconds and I just made 3 times as many sales as you did because I'm willing to take 60 seconds per person to put their information in there. So yes, there may be a variety of reasons you guys choose not to do it, but statistically, those who do that and allow people to just purchase their first month or their trial membership right on their website, statistically, they do sell more. And I know that because we have a website company. You can be in the top 5 or 10% of gyms with your profit margin. And I know that for a fact by doing the following things. You have to be willing to take some risks. You have to take calculated risks. I mean, we bought an old church. We leveraged every asset we had to be able to buy some commercial property. And it was an old church, but we looked at it and we're like, okay, the ceilings aren't quite as high as I would like, but man, I see the potential. When we go in and use a sledgehammer to break down 11 cinder block classrooms, well, now I can fit 2 tier floors right there. I kid you guys not when I say we broke down 11 cinder block classrooms that a private school had been in that building before that. And we took stuff with work gloves on and we took the rubble and we put it in the wheelbarrow and we wheelbarrowed that stuff out the door into a giant pile until we could have a trash company come pick it up. Anyway, we did that because it was the calculated risk we could do. We leveraged everything we had to buy our building. And guess what? In 11 years, you're not going to be able to see me without a smile on my face because my building will be paid off in 11 years. And if you think like, oh my gosh, that's so long. No, it will be. And I will be just so happy because it's a decision we made that was hard to make. And it was a lot of work to get it where it is today. But that's how we built a profit. We made smart choices and we leveraged what we did have. And we weren't afraid to put our house on the title. And, when you buy property like that, the bank needs to hold everything you own. And that's okay. We put an emphasis on rec programs, events, and birthdays. Were there times in the last 14 years that I really just wanted to give all my attention to the cheer program because I truly love cheer and dance? Yes, there were times that I wanted to do nothing in a day except focus on cheer and dance. And I wanted to, look at our routines and I wanted to focus all day long on routine reviews. And I had to not do that. I had to sacrifice some of the stuff that I loved for a period of time so that I could build the business and so that I could build our rec programs and our events and childcare program and all of those other things. And guess what? Once they were built, I loved them. As I was building them, I developed a love for those things. And so do you have to temporarily withdraw your focus from that which you're passionate about to maybe be successful and profitable? Yeah. But guess what? Once you are successful and profitable in those areas, you can shift your focus back. to where I spent 4 hours just going over score sheets and putting them in my spreadsheet and making a list of like, here's what our scores went up on last weekend since the previous competition. Here's what they went down on. Here's what the focus needs to be. Reviewing coaches' lesson plans, reviewing their debrief forms from the end of the night, and making a plan for their scores to improve for the next competition. That's the stuff that I enjoyed and was passionate about. And I get to do it again because I invested the time into all the other programs. I'm not afraid of trying new things that are a lot of work and hard. I talk to a lot of people about the value of like an after school program, and we have to be licensed. Like we're, in Missouri, I can't have an after school program or a full day summer camp without a childcare license. And for a long time, I put it off thinking how scary that would be and that it's just way too much work to do it. And I don't regret it for a second. The amount of work to get licensed, the cost investment, we had to put 4 new bathrooms in our building. We had to put a sprinkler system. We had to tear down part of a wall. The investment was worth it. The continuous education that we have to do is worth it. I just finished a college class. It's worth it so that I can meet the requirements of the director so that if our director ever moves on one day, I can take over that role. We never take the easy way out. We take the smart way out. We do the work. We document what we're doing, analyze what worked and what didn't work, and we don't get too comfortable. Because if this podcast had been on 5 years ago, I may be talking over and over and over and over about the value of email marketing. And yes, I do still think email marketing is worth it. But do you want to know where it's at today? Text. Text message marketing is where it's at. And so if I had gotten too comfortable with just social media marketing, I never would have evolved into text message marketing. If I had gotten too comfortable with email marketing, I never would have seen the writing on the wall that, hey, text message is going to grow our business. And I don't mean text messaging like through your class management software to your current customers where you're like, hey, it's a snow day. I mean like text message that can be two-way, interactive, quickly and easily, right on a phone or on a software program. That kind of marketing is amazing. Somebody goes to your website and they opt in to get your class schedule and they get a text message from you. And on top of that, you've got some sort of system to see everything they've opted into in the past, all your previous communication with them. NextGen has developed the software, and if I hadn't been willing to change what we were doing, we would have missed out on so many cool opportunities to grow the gym. And so never get too comfortable with what you're doing because in 14 years, things have changed. And I'm so glad we were willing to adapt with them. So do I think that you can be an affordable program, still be profitable, have your freedom to do the things that you enjoy doing outside of cheer, take good care of your staff, have a great facility, and give back to your community? 100% I think you can. Anybody who tells you otherwise is out of touch with this industry. Okay, guys. So with that, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the Full Out Cheer podcast. Make sure you come back next week where, I out myself. I'm going to tell you next week 4 things that I used to brag about when I was a new gym owner that were really dumb. Hopefully you guys don't do any of those, but I know some people do. That's why we're doing this podcast. All right, guys. So thanks so much for joining me on this episode of the Full Out Cheer podcast. Make sure that you go subscribe so that you don't miss an episode. See you next time.